Hey there, nation. Welcome to the show where we show you how to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and it's time for Tales from the Underhive. Battle Report number 2. This one is a gang fight scenario. This time it's between two of my buddies. First, Prince Belair, the Iron Sights of House Orlock versus Warlord Ace of 911 of House Van Saar. So like I said before, we have several gangs taking place inside this participating inside this campaign, so a couple of my buddies are playing along as well, First Prince Belair and Warlord Ace being one of them. So this battle report is all about their gang fight between their two gangs, and then next week we'll be seeing some more gang-on-gang action. So with that being said, let's run down the army lists. Alright, so let's go and start off with Fresh Prince Belair's The Iron Sight, which is a House of Orlock gang. Leading his gang is a man called the Toe Cutter, who is the leader, who is armed with a bolt gun, with bolt pistol and sword. After him comes Bubba Zanetti, who is his heavy with a flamer and stub gun. Another heavy named the Night Rider, who is armed with a heavy stubber and a stub gun. And a third heavy called No Face. He's also armed with a flamer as well as a stub gun. After that comes his gangers, Mudguts. He's armed with a shotgun. Starbuck, who's armed with a hunting rifle. Diabando, who's armed with a last gun and a sword. And Kundalini, who's also armed with an axe and a last pistol. And then rounding his army's got two Jews, one named Clunk, who's armed with a stub gun and dum-dum bullets, and Johnny the Boy, who's armed with an auto pistol. That brings out his gang rating to 1,342 points. Alright, next up we have Warlord Ace's 911. It's a House Van Saar gang. Leading his gang, he's got the Bullet Farmer, who's armed with a bolt gun, bolt pistol, as well as sword. He has three heavies in this gang as well. Brother Heckler, who's armed with a flamer, Brother Koch, who's armed with a melted gun, and Brother Nero, who's armed with a plasma gun. After that, he's got three gangers, Anti-Seed, who's armed with a bolt gun and frag grenades, Junk Bolt, who's also armed with bolt gun and frag grenades, and Slim Sloan, who is armed with a bolt pistol, as well as a sword. He also has three Jews in his army, Roondog, who's armed with twin stub guns, Sands, who's armed with twin stub guns, and the Nomad, who's armed with an auto pistol. And that brings up his gang rating to 1,327 points. Alright, so here's deployment. As you can see, my opponents are fighting on a 4x4 table. The Iron Sights are taking the near side of the table in this battle report, while his opponent, Warlord Ace, has deployed his 911 on the far side of the table as well. So you can see that we got the MCI Chemical Works on the left-hand side. We got two major buildings, one in the center. We got the West Superette, which is a supermarket on the very far side where 911 is located at. And we got that series of walls on the right-hand side. So yeah, we're going to basically see what happens with the individual deployments for this one. Alright, so here's the plan for the Iron Sights. As you can see, First Prince Belair basically divided up his guys into two squads on either side of that wall. On the left-hand side, he's got his leader as well as his gangers and Jews. Take up the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, he's got his heavies with two of his long-range gangers. The guys armed with the relay last gun as well as the hunting rifle. And so that's where he set up his deployment for his troops on this one. And here's Warlord Ace's 911. As you can see here on the left-hand side, he's deployed all three of his heavies into the courtyard at the MCI Chemical Works. On the right-hand side, next to the West Superette, he's got his leader as well as three of his Jews. His three other gangers are basically left off for side deployment because my buddy has tunnels for one of his deployment rules, so he's waiting until the end of his first turn so that way he can deploy those guys out within 8 inches near the enemy. So that's what the deployment looked like for this side. Alright, so we're top of turn number 1 after movement. As you can see here, my buddy moved up his Van Saar guys. He won the initiative. As you can see there, he basically moved up his Jews with his leader right behind that rubble mound there with the barbed wire, taking up a good shooting position to start putting up some cover fire to that center building. And as you can see on the left-hand side, he sends his three heavies just running as quickly as he possibly can right down the straightaway. And because he spent his entire turn running, there's really no shooting or close combat or recovery needing to take place. He does deploy his three gangers at the end of his turn per tunnel rules, so we'll talk about those here in a second. Here's a close-up of his three brothers, Brother Heckler, Koch, as well as Brother Nero. They're basically stationed right there in the middle of the courtyard of the MCI, basically using that wall as protection while he moves up his gangers and his heavies on the left-hand flank. So that's the close-up on this part. Alright, here's a close-up of his leader as well as his Jews. That's the Bullet Farmer there in the back. Up in the front is Roondog. We also have the Nomad as well as Sans taking a position behind that mound of barbed wire. So with close-ups done, let's go and talk about his three gangers that he deployed due to the tunnel rules. As you can see here, Warlord Ace deployed his three gangers, Anti-Seed, Junk Bolt, as well as Slim Sloan. He deployed them in the office buildings on the very far left-hand side of the board on my buddy Fresh Prince Belair's deployment zone. So you can see there he's now got himself set up in a nice little pincer attack to where he can open up the flank of the Orlocks as they're trying to make their way across the board. So that makes it my opponent's turn, and with that we move on to turn number 1 for the House Orlock. So this is the bottom of turn number 1 after moving for the Iron Sights. You can see there my buddy Fresh Prince Belair kind of panics. Basically what he does, he divides up his forces, sending one group of gangers to the left to deal with the three gangers, the three 911 members who are stuck inside that office building on the far left-hand side of the board, and then he sends other long-range gangers with his heavies down the right-hand side along that wall straight towards that office building in the center to deal with Warlord Ace's gangers, Jews, and leader that's on this side of the building, as well as the heavies. So as you can see there, he's kind of divided his forces, kind of like take on the two different halves of the 911 gang. And since Fresh Prince Bel-Air spent the entire round running his troops, he can't be able to shoot because he ran all of his guys. There's no close combat or need for recovery, so because of that, it ends turn number 1 for the Ironsides. So yeah, not much action going on between my two buddies, just a lot of running at this point. So yeah, it's like a marathon. It's kind of cool. Alright, so that takes us to turn number 2 for top number 2 for 911. This is after the movement phase. As you can see, there's a little bit of movement going on. Warlord Ace basically runs his heavies, runs them down the other side of the complex of the MCI Chemical Works in order to take up positions, try to get to the corner as quickly as possible, lay open fire on the Orlocks as they cross the open ground. In the office building there to the near side of the table, as you can see there, my buddy has deployed his guys up into the second floor. So he's put his 2 bolter carrying gangers, junk bolt, as well as anti-seat up into the second level of that area, so that way he can start shooting over that debris and heading straight towards the Orlocks on the right hand side. And he's kept Slim Sloan down near the front level in order to provide cover. And on the far side of the board, where the office building is towards the middle, you really can't see it from this point. We'll show you the close-up, but he's moved up his leader as well as his Jews into the window that's facing the first level on the far side of that building, so that way he can start putting fire on those gangers in the middle, basically catching my opponent, Fresh Prince Bel-Air, in a crossfire is what he's planning on doing. So it's kind of interesting. So yeah, let's go with the close-ups on this one. There's a close-up of Junk Bolt as well as Anti-C on the second floor, as well as Slim Sloan on the first floor. Getting ready to put some fire down on those Orlocks crossing that open ground. And here's a close-up of the brothers Heckler Koch as well as Brother Nero trying to run as quickly as they can, trying to run that corner of the MCI Chemical Works to put the hurting down with their heavy weapons. And as you can see in this picture, through the massive blast hole in the side of the building towards the front door where the front window is, you can kind of make out the makings out of the Bullet Farmer as well as Roondog, Sands, and the Nomad kind of taking up positions near that window as well as open door to fire through that main opening right down the center of the field to where the Orlocks are basically hiding up at. So yeah, that makes it the close-ups on this one. And with moving out of the way, we go directly on to the shooting phase. Alright, so first blood goes to Warlord Ace. As you can see in this picture, Anti-C takes aim with his bolt gun and manages to knock off a wound off the toe cutter, which is the leader right there in the middle. Blasts him right off his feet, throws him right back onto his back, and now he is down for right now. As well as that happening, my opponent, Warlord Ace's leader, the Bullet Farmer, opens up his bolt gun as well, cuts right through the building, and manages to take out Clunk, who's the Juve armed with, not Clunk, Johnny the Boy, who's the Juve armed with the auto pistol, and basically puts him down too and causes a wound as well, which is going to cause all kinds of problems for Fresh Prince Bel-Air as the time goes on. Here's a close-up of the action that's basically taking place on this side of the board. You can see John the Boy is down, as well as the Toe Cutter. And because these two guys got shot in such close proximity to all the other members of the gang, they're going to have to take a nerve test to see if they break. And for poor Fresh Prince Bel-Air, 2 of those guys do break. You have Clunk as the Juve, as well as Kundalini as a ganger. They both failed their nerve tests because of that. They're now broken, and they run for the closest piece of cover, which is only straightforward to the base of that rubble, which will kind of save them because now they're in dead space for they can't be shot at by Anti-Seed or Junk Bolt because they're right behind the rubble. However, it doesn't do them any kind of good whatsoever from the Bullet Farmer. Going to shoot right down the middle there and basically get them on the flank there. As for Mudguts, who's the gang with the shotgun and the trench coat right there, yeah, he passes his nerve test, so he's just basically sticking out and basically watching his friends run and being shot at. Alright, so here's the bottom turn 2 after the movement for the Ironsides. As you can see, things for Fresh Prince Bel-Air are not going very well. Basically, his 2 fighters are still broken, so they're still taking cover behind that rubble, and they failed their nerve test, so they're still pinned down. They're not going anywhere either. Fresh Prince Bel-Air's Juve, which his name is Johnny the Boy, as well as leader of the Toe Cutter. Basically, they're still down because they rolled basically the down on that part, so they're not going anywhere. As you can see, he moves up Mudguts, the shotgun wielding ganger, as quickly as he can around the flank of that rubble. And I think his plan is to try to get him as quickly as he can, close enough to engage shotgun blast onto those 2 gangers up on the roof. On the right-hand side, as you can see there, he basically keeps back 2 of his gangers who are armed with long-range shooting power. Those are both Diabando Necroumda, as well as Starbuck. He keeps them in the location where they're at, look, right there, so that way they can shoot from behind the wall and engage that office building. But then he sends up his 3 heavies, Bubba Zanetti, the Knight Rider, as well as No Face, and basically runs them as quickly as possible as he can in order to get to engage the enemy on the other side of that office building. So that makes up movement from this guy's turn. Here's a close-up of Fresh Prince Bel-Air's shattered lift formation. You can see his Ganger and his Juve still taking cover, as well as his leader and his Juve basically bleeding on the ground. And you can see that his other Ganger is trying to get around the building as rubble as quickly as possible to engage the 3 Gangers in the office building. And here's a close-up of Fresh Prince Bel-Air's right-hand flank. As you can see there, he sent his 2 heavies, Bubba Zanetti, as well as No Face, running as quickly as they can towards the corner of that office building, so that way they can start engaging 911's Juve, as well as his leader on the other side of that office building. You can see Starbuck, who is the Ganger armed with the hunting rifle, taking up cover position behind that rubble there in the center. And also you can see the Knight Rider armed with his heavy stubber on the corner of that building, getting ready to aim and put down some suppressive fire as well. On the very bottom there, you have the last of the Gangers, the last gun, sword-wielding one, Diabando, taking position behind that wall and get ready to put down some fire as well. So that makes up close-ups on this one. As you can see in the shooting phase, the Ironsides get the revenge. As you can see in this photo here, Starbuck, he is the Ironside armed with a hunting rifle. He takes aim and shoots and hits Anti-Seed center of mass, drops him like a bad habit. So second first blood goes for the Ironsides in this round, which is kind of cool for them as they finally got their kind of revenge with that part. And to make matters worse, Warlord Ace fails Anti-Seed's initiative roll for falling. And the poor guy falls in the lever and takes another strength 3 hit as well, and that guy ends up getting hoarse. So now he has to roll twice on the serious not decision injury table on the recovery table to see exactly what happens to him because of that rifle shot that just blew him off the 2nd floor. And to make matters worse for Warlord Ace, Slim Sloan watches his buddy fall from the 2nd floor and plummets to the ground. It freaks him out so badly that Slim Sloan runs. Poor Warlord Ace, he failed his panic check and basically starts running out of the way of the field of fire, out of the building, and trying to seek safety. Which was pretty lucky because my opponent had just rolled, if Warlord Ace had just rolled like 4 points higher, he would have ran him completely off the table and that guy would have been gone for this battle. So yeah, things not looking so great for the 911. All right, during the recovery phase, Fresh Prince Bel-Air, he rolls to see what happens to his members of his gangs who got wounded. Johnny the Boy made a full recovery of the flush wound, so now he's -1 weapon skill as well as -1 ballistic skill for the rest of the game. If he gets hit one more time and suffers another flush wound, Johnny the Boy will be out of the game permanently. At the same time, however, his leader, the Toe Cutter, rolls a 6, and he is out of action for the rest of this battle. So my poor friend Fresh Prince Bel-Air, he doesn't have any leaders leading his gang anymore, so now he's going off of gang leadership when it comes Ganger leadership when it comes to bottle tests from this point onwards. That's kind of sad. And to make things worse for my opponent, for my buddy there, his other Ganger, Kundalini, who is the Ganger armed with the axe, was the last pistol. He takes off and he doesn't recover his nerve. He runs off the board and he is never coming back, basically. So that's what took place here in the center portion for recovery. Alright, so here's the top of turn number 3 for 911 after movement. As you can see, his Warlord Ace's 3 heavies basically lines the corner of that MCI Chemical Works, and they're taking their positions at the base of that water tower number 1, as you can see on the left-hand side. So now they're going to put some fire upon the the Ironsides from the middle of the table there. And if you look on the far right-hand side on that office building, Warlord Ace has moved up his 2 of his 3 Juves and basically ran around that corner so that way they can start putting out some suppressive fire on that unit of Ironsides that's running their way as well. So that is movement for this side of the board. Here's a close-up of the brothers Heckler, Koch, and Nero taking positions along the base of that wall outside the MCI Chemical Works so that way they can start opening fire onto the Ironsides. And here's a close-up of Roondog and Sands, the 2 Jews right in the corner there to start engaging those heavies that are running their ways. So with movement out of the way, we go directly onto the shooting phase for 911. And in the shooting phase, the pain is brought once again. 2 more of those Jews drop down from heavy plasma fire. Not heavy plasma fire, but plasma fire being fired from Brother Nero. Brother Nero decides to go with full maximum power on his plasma rifle, cuts off, gets 3 shots with the sustained fire dice, and manages to put down 2 more of those Jews again. He puts down Johnny the Boy one more time, as well as Clunk as well. So death is taking place all over this center field of fire. So it's all kinds of bad that's taking place over here in the center portion of the board. Unfortunately for Warlord Ace, Brother Nero has to roll up on the overheat table every single time he opens up with maximum power on that plasma gun. He actually got kind of lucky. The gun is too hot, so he basically can't shoot for a turn. But judging on for where this battle is going and me taking photos of what's taking place, this battle is not going to be taking much longer anyways. So, no loss really for the Van Saars at this point. Since there's no combat phase at this point, we go directly into the recovery phase. As you can see, Slim Sloan has regained his nerve and basically just takes a position there at the corner of the office building as well. Anti-Seed is still down. He is still just crawling around and basically moves 2 inches to the nearest cover. And so with recovery gun done, we go on to the Iron Sight's turn for turn number 3. All right, that takes us to the bottom of turn 3 after moving for the Iron Side. So you can see there has been some scrambling going on over here on this side of the board for Fresh Prince Bel-Air. As you can see on the left-hand side there, he moves up his shotgun-wielding ganger, which his name is Mudguts. He runs him up towards the office building and makes him move 8 inches, so that way he can start putting some fire down on that portion of the board as well. As you can see on the right-hand side as well, his two Jews who got shot are still on the ground, but right next to them is coming up the next guy, one of his other gangers. His name is Diabando. That's the guy with the splash gun and the sword. He starts putting it across the wall, trying to get closer distance in order to start doing some shooting as well. On the right hand side there, as you can see, Starbuck, the sniper rifle wielding ganger, as well as the Knight Rider, the heavy stubber, they're maintaining positions, not really moving all that much. While on the upper part there next to the office building, both Bubba Zanetti and No Face, they just move their normal 4 inches in order to engage those two Jews with flamer fire. So yeah, that pretty much makes a movement for Fresh Prince Bel-Air. Alright, here's a close-up of Mudguts trying to move as quickly as he can to the base of that office building, so that way he should start putting some fire down with that shotgun, as well as Crank and John the Boy still being laid out there in the middle of the open ground, right behind that pile of rubble. And here's another close-up of Diabando sprinting across the open ground in order to open up with some long-range fire onto that office building. You can also still see Starbuck still hiding behind that pile of rubble, as well as the Knight Rider take a position to open up with this heavy stubber as well. And you can see No Face as well as Bubba Zanetti getting closer to those Jews. Roondog and Sands open up with flamers. So that makes it the closest for this one. So, in the shooting phase, more horrific stuff happens for Fresh Prince Bel-Air. He manages to hit the two Jews with those twin flamers and, managed to get them within the template. However, he failed to wound. He rolled like a 1 and a 2 in order to wound those two Jews. So because of that, both Roondog as well as the Jew Sands are perfectly fine. They also took rolls to see if they caught fire as well. They passed those rolls as well, so they don't catch fire either. So, poor Fresh Bel-Air. He spent so long trying to sprint these guys and cut loose with flamers, and nothing happens. And luckily for Fresh Prince Bel-Air, he did pass his ammo rolls for his two flamers, so it all was for naught. But still, it has to be frustrating for my buddy. I just can't imagine what is going through right now in his head. So yeah, that's shooting on this side of the board. Meanwhile, in the office building, Starbuck takes another aim with his hunting rifle and manages to take out Junk Bolt as well. And so he managed to put wounds on that guy as well. So Junk Bolt is now down as well. Luckily for Junk Bolt, though, he passes initiative test, so doesn't worry about falling off. He just stays on the second floor where he's located at. But man, that Orlock with the hunting rifle, he's doing actually pretty well for my opponent. He's actually making those shots count. So yeah, kudos to Starbuck on that part. So that's what shooting is going on over here in the office building. I have to apologize. I made a mistake on this side of the board. One of my friends' flamers did actually fail his ammo roll. That's Bubba Zanetti. So Bubba Zanetti actually failed his ammo roll. So Bubba Zanetti's flamer is now absolutely useless. And so that poor guy's actually not armed with anything at all. So I forgot to mention that part earlier. But anyways, the reason why I have this picture over here on this right-hand side is because a Knight Rider takes quite careful aim with his heavy stubber and manages to put a wound on top of the Roondog. So Roondog basically goes down. He gets injured as well. So that part was actually kind of neat. However, he basically recovers with a flesh wound as well. So he has a -1 to his weapon skill as well as ballistic skill for the remainder of the battle. So because there's no close combat going on, we go directly to the recovery phase for this one. So during the recovery phase, with a quarter of the guys either out of action or down, my buddy Fresh Prince Bel-Air has to take a bottle test because his leader, the toe cutter, is no longer being here. The highest leadership value they have is a 7, and they fail their bottle test by rolling a 10. So because of that, the Iron Sides pretty much bottle out for this one. So I feel pretty bad for Fresh Prince Bel-Air. He just had a hell of a time trying to catch up to these 9/11 guys, trying to close distance in order to engage them. He basically had a lot of open ground. He had basically had to cover across in order to do that, and he's got caught in a crossfire in the worst ways possible. So yeah, poor the Iron Sides. They're really out of action on this part. So with this battle being over, we go directly to the after action report because this game is now over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
All right, now it's time for the after action report. This is the part of the battle report where we talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle on this one. So this is for Tales of the Underhive battle report number 2. This was a gang fight scenario. This time, this fight did not involve me at all, actually. It actually involved between my buddies as Fresh Prince Bel-Air of his Iron Sights of House Orlock versus Warlord Ace of 9/11, his House Van Saar crew. It ended up being a victory for 9/11. So let's go and talk about what happened in the post-game session. So because of the difference in gang rating, the 9/11 gained a +1 bonus for XP for underdogs against the Iron Sights. Let's talk about some of the updates that they had. The Bullet Farmer, who was the leader of this gang, he actually got a +1 wound added to his statistics as well, so he advanced up, which is kind of good for him. Brother Nero, who was that beast with the plasma gun, he also got a +1 to his ballistic skill on that part as well. So now Brother Nero is even deadlier now with that plasma gun of his, which was pretty intense looking as well. Anti-Seed, who was the guy who was basically laying down the smackdown on the long-range shooting with his bolt gun, he managed to get a +1 for his attack. And Junk Bolt, the guy who got shot and blown off of the second floor, he gained the armor skill. However, he's also now partially deafened as well, so he loses a little bit on his initiative checks when it comes to that part as well. And the Jew Rundog, he managed to roll a perfect 6 on his advances, so Rundog moved up, and that Jew gained the gunfighter skill. Let's see here. Warlord Ace also earned 76 credits during the purchase of that. He also purchased 3 last pistols for his heavies and a silencer for Rundog as well, so that we can use it for future scenarios later on down the line. For the Iron Sights. Luckily for the Iron Sights, nobody was killed in this battle report. A lot of those guys made a full recovery, so that was kind of like a plus for him. For the Iron Sights, Starbuck, who was that shooter who was making those great shots, he got an advancement and got +1 ballistic skill as well. So now Starbuck is definitely super deadly with that sniper rifle of his. And Kundalini, who was the kinger who ran off the board, for some reason that guy also got a bonus as well. He got a +1 for his wound on that part. When he went to go work his territories, he gained 120 credits, and basically he made 3 purchases. He purchased a 1 in a million auto slugger for the gang leader, the toe cutter, so that should be kind of interesting because that gun now automatically passes all of its ammo rolls. And he also purchased crack grenades for mud guts and frag grenades for Kundalini as well for future things that happen on later down the line. So yeah, that pretty much makes up the battle report for battle report number 2 from Tales of the Underhive. As always, please comment, like, subscribe. Put any comments or notifications you have in the rules or anything like that. We're living the back and forth as well. We're really excited to bring you guys these Necromunda battle reports, and we will bring you some more battles later on. So I did not personally fight in this one, but the next battle report I will definitely be in that one because I fight the winner of this last round that we just went through. So I'll be taking on 9/11 with my jury. So tune in next time, you guys. Same bat channel, same bat time. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.